Spotlighting Hawaii's leaders.
We want to bring in Governor David Ige.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Lieutenant Governor, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. Mayor Derek Kawakami.
Thank you so much, Senator, for being here.
Spotlighting the issues.
Where is the virus right now in our community?
How much is this overall going to cost the state?
How are you responding to the community's concerns? Talk about the level of citations that you guys are writing.
Spotlight Hawaii with Yunji Denise and Ryan Kalei Suji on the digital platforms of the Honolulu Star-Advertiser.
This episode of Spotlight Hawaii is brought to you by Long's Drugs.
Well, Lohan, thanks so much for tuning in here on this Wednesday morning. I'm Ryan Kalei Suji, joined by Yunji Denise, and this is Spotlight Hawaii on the digital platforms of the Honolulu Star-Advertiser. This morning, we focus on a very important race that's happening out on a neighbor island. We head over to the county of Maui as we talk to two men who would like to lead that county.
That's right. We're joined live this morning by retired Judge Richard Bissen and the current mayor, Mike Victorino. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Aloha.
Well, let's talk about why you both are running this morning. Judge, let's start with you. Why did you decide that you wanted to take on this challenge?
Three reasons. Those reasons are Naluahi, Kilinahi, and Lalakea, the names of my three grandsons. I have decided we're in a crisis. We should be concerned about whether our young people can afford to remain and live here on our homeland. I know I'm okay and probably my adult daughters, but I'm very concerned about my grandchildren's generation and other people's grandchildren.
And Mr. Mayor, let's ask you the same question. Why have you decided that you want to continue in this seat?
Well, first of all, I have 7 reasons why I really want to continue. 5 of them are my grandchildren, 8 reasons. 5 are my grandchildren and 3 are my great-grandchildren and their future, especially my great-grandchildren. I'm really concerned about how far they are able to live and raise their families here. I started this job in 2019, had major fires all of that year, went right into a COVID pandemic worldwide, and many of the projects and many of the affordable housing and other areas that we had been planning for were put on the back burners during that time. No engagement, no ability. Everything was shut down. So our focus went to taking care of people here in Maui County, feeding them, making sure they got enough money to pay their rent and utilities and other important things that 40% of almost of our population were unemployed for no fault of their own. And until we recovered back in October when we reopened, and now we're on a road to recovery, I want to make sure that we have that opportunity, that my grandchildren, great-grandchildren have the opportunity to live and raise their family here. It is so very important.
Well, we want to get to some of the issues, and we know that a lot of the issues that Maui residents are facing are no different than some of the issues that many throughout the state are, but of course, they are some specific issues that pertain to Maui County. I want to start off and begin with tourism. We all have seen those long lines at the airport, and we know that that is a backlog of TSA, and there have been things to address that, but it also speaks to the issue of just how many tourists and visitors are visiting your island and your county. I want to start off with you, Judge. What would you do differently to help control the amount of visitors and try to find that balance between tourists as well as local needs?
You know, we certainly understand that tourism is a major economic driver for our county revenue, the jobs that many of our residents have are in that industry. So no question, that's our driver. The problem comes when it impacts our locals. And of course, tourism impacts our infrastructure, our resources, and again, our local population. And I think the things we can do is, for example, control the flow of traffic out to Hana. We should be considering having times of the day that we allow residents only to access that road, perhaps a few hours in the morning and in the afternoon. I think that would alleviate a lot of not only the stress, but the perception that, it's impacting our residents in a negative way. We should consider toll booths in a couple of places as well along that Hana Highway, again, to alleviate, maybe to encourage people to go out on buses or tours instead of individually driving out. There are ways we can try to reduce the tourists on our roads
improving our public transportation and increasing that, so that encouraging tourists to use more public transportation. So I think there are ways that are available to us, and again, adopt the Maui Nui destination plan.
Mayor, same question for you. You know, you've been on this program before. We've talked about this, and you've suggested different ideas and things that you would like to implement. What differently would you do to help find this balance between visitors and locals?
Well, we have already instituted these programs and looking to implement reservations where certain times of the day people would not be allowed or would be recommended not to be coming in. Like what we do at Haleakala National Park, have a reservation. We've done that at Wainapa Napa, and it's been very successful. The state and I are embarking on Iao and other places, other areas that are destinations here in Maui County, and Hana is one of them. You know, and again, toll booths, according to the federal government, would not be allowed along Hana Highway, or we'd lose federal subsidies. So we have to look at other methods to do that. And I would like to have a reservation system and restrict the driving, as we've been mentioning before, that locals would have certain times to come in and out of in the day, so that there would not be so many visitors on our highway. This is some of the areas that we've discussed in the past and continue to work towards in the future. And I've brought, you know, the Maui Nui destination, I've been proud to be a part of that over the last 2 years. We've been an active partner with Maui Visitors Bureau and not Hawaii Hotels, the Hotel Lodging and Association, and others, you know, HTA, Hawaii Tourism Authority. And we feel that there is many programs that we're bringing forward that will help show that we care about our residents more than anything else, and make sure that life is good for everyone.
You know, on a topic that intersects with that also, and something that is felt statewide, is the housing crunch, particularly the rental housing market. When you look at Maui, just anecdotally, you hear about just how competitive it is, and how difficult it can be for families to find places to live that are affordable. Mr. Mayor, let's start with you. What do you think more can be done on this issue to make sure that people who live in Maui, you know, particularly Kama'aina, can find a place to live?
Thank you for that question. We have embarked on a massive program to build affordable housing and rentals throughout Maui County. In my tenure, we have built almost 1,300 affordable units. More than half of them are in the rental market, but that's not keeping up with the demand. We also recently, with the council's urging and working together with the people, bought the Lahaina Wayside Apartments. Those are 20 apartments that will not displace 20 of our residents and their families on the streets. We've also worked with the public-private partnerships, and some of them that we're working on right now that have come to fruition or come to a head is the Waikapu Town Country project. And I think it is going to be a great project. Affordable units, affordable rentals, and as well as market will all be built in the same area. And these will provide well over 15, almost 2,000 units right here in Central Maui. We have the Keawe Apartments. We also have the Star Noodle development next to the old Star Noodle that's coming online this year, probably next month. And that will bring another 89 units. So we are bringing out many units, and many more will come in the very near future.
Okay, Judge, what are your thoughts on this? How can we increase housing stock, particularly in the rental market?
Yes, I agree that the mayor has continued on with programs that other mayors before him have started. And of course, I will continue on any programs that he may have started or was started before him. I think for us, the quickest way to provide housing for our residents, and let's be clear about this, our residents, our Kama'aina, deserve to live here in our homeland. And let me just say that for the quickest way to do that, our short-term solution is accessory dwelling units. We're setting a goal of approving 100 of those permitted in the first 180 days of our administration. And we'll do that by pre-approving floor plans such as a studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and having those pre-approved as long as you hook up to county water and sewer. We also think using existing infrastructure is also beneficial to our community. whether it's repurposing commercial space that is vacant. It already has water, it already has sewer, it has lots of parking. There's several spaces such as those on Maui that we should do. And of course, long-term, our housing plan is called Kama'aina housing, because again, when you say affordable housing, the focus, first of all, it's a misnomer, but the focus is on the cost of the home. We want the focus to be on who is living in the home, who is buying the home. So our program calls for Kama'aina housing, and have that be the first and foremost priority as we build those structures. So that's our short, middle, medium, and long-term plan.
Well, related to that is also homelessness, and there are Maui residents who say that they are seeing more and more homeless residents and homeless encampments popping up around the island. A lot due, of course, to the high cost of living and a number of other factors. But Judge, for you specifically with the homeless population, what would you do differently than what is being done right now, and how do you feel is the best path forward to address the growing number of homeless on the island?
I think first is to understand that homelessness is not a one-size organization or group. Everyone has a different pathway to becoming houseless or unsheltered. And we need to recognize that first instead of grouping people all into one organization or one group. The short-term plan we had was to utilize vacant parking spaces that were made vacant by rent-a-cars. And there are things in there now, but it would take a leader to negotiate with our Department of Transportation, the State Department of Transportation, to see if we can utilize those spaces where people who are working homeless, they have vehicles that drive, give them a place to drive at night, provide, it's already fenced in, and provide them a place to shower, a place to wash their laundry. Because, when you give somebody a place to wash their clothes and take a shower, what you're really doing is restoring their dignity. And then also to have them have a place to charge their electric devices, bring in transition counselors, work with them on maybe they need to renew their driver's license, they need a prescription, maybe they need a dental appointment, and really give that, restore that dignity to them. In long-term plans, we need to have more transition housing. There was a study done by the Cost of Government Commission, and they pointed out what some of the shortfalls were for us on Maui, and most of it had to do with a lack of coordination. And so we need to bring our nonprofits, our churches together, and see if we can all work together on solving this issue.
Mayor, I want to get your thoughts now on homelessness and the issues that seem to be happening within this particular issue on Maui.
Well, many of the nonprofits and as well as the churches have come together and have been working with us to build and to develop more affordable, residential areas for our homelessness. And they're not homeless, they're shelterless. And let's change the word. They're shelterless. Their home is Maui, but they don't have a shelter to live under. Some of the areas that we're looking at is developing more of our pallet homes and other small, tiny homes in areas close to what we call wraparound services, what they're mentioning as medical and other psychiatric. We do have a program already working on to put in here at the Cameron Center parking lot, to have overnight parking for those homeless or shelterless that live in there or sleep in their cars. And we're going to put in restroom facilities and also places for them to shower and wash their clothes. Exactly what others have been mentioning. These are ideas that we have been working on since heaven knows when. And the shelterless people have been existing in our society for decades. Our numbers show that it's been going down since 2018, when we were about 1,200. Our point-in-time count shows that we have gone down to 743. We haven't gotten the point-in count for 2022, and we're awaiting that at this point. But there's many options, but I agree, there is no one-size-fits-all. It's a multiple task of the community, businesses, nonprofits, and all of us working together to find solutions. And I'm proud to say we have been.
We are right about at the halfway mark, so this is an opportunity where the candidates get to ask questions of each other. Judge, we'll let you go first.
Sure. Mayor, since you've become mayor, the budget you've submitted has gone from approximately $800 million to over $1 billion, an increase of over $400 million to our county. Can you explain to the taxpayers why we have a budget that has grown by that amount?
Well, thank you for that question. This county has just been recovering from the worst pandemic this nation, this world has seen, and we were adversely affected. There are many issues that have been put on the back burner that we're now bringing forward. When I put my first budget out was $770 million. And thanks to the council, they added another to make it 850. And in fact, I'll be known as the only mayor that their budget has been increased by the council all 4 years. As you brought up that one at my office, you mentioned about how my salaries increased from 2.9 million to 3.7 million. Well, the fact of the matter is, and I have the budget in front of me, my salaries when Mr. Arca was in office his salaries in his office of $1.328 million, and now has increased to $1,971,000 under my administration. Now that includes the Office of Climate Change, Resiliency, and Sustainability that was put in my office. Also, what was put in my office was 4 positions, and they accumulate about $400,000 in expenses overall, in salaries over $130,000. They've done a great job just in one area alone by the Johnson report that is now going to save the county well over $73 million over the next 20 years and 86 million gallons a year, or 1.7 million gallons of water, potable water, that now can be reallocated. And we can now build a little more housing for our Kama'aina and our workforce.
Judge, we'll give you a chance to respond to the mayor's response.
Yeah, I don't think he answered the question as to why the taxpayers have had their budget increased, except to say that the council is the one, I guess, who increased it. But he is the one who proposed the original budget to the council. So I think he should be able and should have to explain that, at least to the taxpayers, why this is increased by that much.
Okay, and Mayor Victorino, it's now your opportunity to ask the question of your opponent.
Well, I'll rebuttal the first part of it. They understand a lot better than you, maybe, Mr. Bissen. But we'll start with this. I just signed Bill 107, which is a subsidy at the county because of our crucial need to build Kama'aina or workforce or housing for our people, our residents. I signed the bill considering that this will be an option that we can now catch up much quicker in this area. I understand you don't support the bill. Why don't you support the bill?
I never commented on supporting the bill. I was never asked about that bill. And unlike you, I have not reviewed that to be able to make a comment on it. So what I will say is we are providing monies, the county using the affordable funding, affordable housing fund to give money to either developers or programs. The subsidies is what they're being called. And I'm not sure that those are being vetted. I am all for housing. I've been for housing since we first announced our campaign. And I'm happy to hear that the mayor is adopting many of the ideas that we've put forth. You can go back and see if the mayor has ever espoused any of these concepts before. But obviously, interestingly enough, especially in the last few months. And so I'm glad that he agrees with the plan that we have had to put more Kama'aina into these houses. But again, I've not taken any position on this bill that you said. So I'm not sure where you got that from.
And Mr. Mayor, we'll give you an opportunity to respond.
Well, I've seen that and heard that from some of you and your people, that subsidies are not always the best thing to work our way out of this crisis. I think at this time, the government has to take the lead, and that's why the Affordable Housing Fund has grown tremendously, and that's part of the increase in the budget. Also, the infrastructure that the council and I agree that we are doing for the properties now. A lot of these things that I've been saying, you picked up and you utilized later and said it in your way, but that's okay. I understand, and I'm good with this. What I'm saying is this: we have been taking action. We're getting the job done, and I'm proud to say my administration has worked really hard with this community, with all segments, developers, nonprofits, environmentalists, to get to this point where I see a bright future for our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. But we got to stay the course. We don't need inexperienced leadership at this time.
Well, I want to move on here and get back to one of the major duties of course, this office is just the overall infrastructure and the infrastructure the county provides for residents. And one of those issues that continue to plague Maui is access to water. It continues to be an issue for some of the residents there. Judge, we'll start off with you. I wanted to get your thoughts about just the infrastructure as a whole, but specifically with water and getting and ensuring that residents have this access.
I think we all understand water is a public trust, and again, probably the most important resource that we need to survive on our islands. And of course, we need to control our water resources. We need to partner with experts to manage that. I think we have to be mindful of the cost to our taxpayers as well, but there's no question about it that we should be in control of our water resource. It's my understanding we have 3 different systems that provide water to our island and our people, and we need to make sure that that is in the control. That has not been the case in the past. That is something that I'm sure anyone in power and in leadership could have brought forth in the past. It is only coming forth now because, again, it's a hot button topic. And I think everyone recognizes when you're in an election year, you see things like the budget increasing and, pretty much handing out money to people so that they will look upon you favorably. I'm interested in knowing how the issue of infrastructure being paid by the county government ever came up before, but I'm sure people could answer that or can look it up themselves. Again, what it's all about is leadership, and someone with years of leadership like myself, over 35 years, is what the county needs right now.
And Mayor, I wanted to get your thoughts on just the overall infrastructure issues that plague Maui County, and specifically with water.
Well, water has always been a challenge because when this county passed the Show Me the Water bill, it changed the dynamics of this county for many years. And even when I was on the council, we had attempted to change it back and never were successful. Now that we have reached this point, I believe the county we're taking back the infrastructure improvements. For example, in the upcountry area, we're now looking for sources, and I think we have 2 wells that we're going to be drilling very shortly for groundwater to be supplied to the upcountry area, which depends, 80% of what they depend on is surface water. And every summer they have a challenge with surface water. And this is one of the big areas, storage and other areas we've worked on and continue to work on. What we're also doing is wanting to interconnect central and upcountry. This is one of my goals that since I came into office, but I've always hit some resistance. But we continue to press on because I believe during the winter months when you have a lot of rain upcountry and they can share water, we could utilize so that our aquifer could recharge. And during the summer months when they have shortage, we could pump water up and give them a helping hand. That's an interconnectable system. Really, we need to continue to work together to look for innovation in how we can complete this project.
One of the other things that's affecting the water resources on Maui is the access deer issue. For people who don't live on that island, they may be unfamiliar, but we're talking about tens of thousands of animals that are having a huge environmental impact. And, from my understanding, when you talk to environmentalists and conservationists, we're really at a tipping point in Maui when it comes to these deer really wreaking havoc on the entire system. Mr. Mayor, what do you think more can be done, especially given that a lot of these deers are roaming on private land and there is this access issue with trying to cull the herd? But what do you think can be done when it comes to the access deer problem?
Well, first of all, we've already started with some mitigations. We've helped our small farmers to put up fences that will prevent the access deer from entering their areas. So it's helping some of them, but that's not near enough. Our ranchers are struggling also. So what we need to do is have a massive mitigating plan to reduce the herds to a manageable level. What we can do with the meat is another issue, whether it's a business or providing it for homeless or I should say shelterless. and people that are in need. Our food bank would be more than willing if we can provide that meat to them that has been inspected by USDA inspectors. And that's another area that we're working on to hire, see if we can get positions to hire here in Maui County. Also portable slaughterhouses that will be able to help us, mobile slaughterhouses I call them, that they'll be able to move around and help us in this area. But these are just many of the examples that we use. But more importantly, we have to have a concerted effort. We have to be able to reduce the liability, allowing hunters to get on properties that are private. And this is the challenge we face right now. Private owners are still a little reluctant to give us that opportunity, but we have been working with this and we are continuing on. And I believe we'll have a solution in the very near future.
And Judge, what's your take on what can be done for this issue?
Well, aloha again. Yanji, I think you heard me speak when we were in Spotlight earlier this year with the other candidates that this is an issue that I have been raising since January, that we should turn this into an industry, building workforce development, having mobile slaughterhouses so we can use the meat. The issue that has come up since then is danger to the watershed. And I think there's no question when it comes to our watershed, our most precious resource, we need to take more action in managing this herd. It's estimated at 60 to 65,000. The manageable herd is about 20,000. They are growing faster than we can control them. And so it's going to take that effort. But again, of course, this is an industry. That issue has been put to rest as far as that's concerned. The real issue is what are we going to do if they get near our watershed? And that's where our focus needs to be. This is not a new issue. Just like water up country, drought, these are not new issues. The mayor has been in office for 14 years, and yet these same issues, we're still talking about them today. So we need new, bold leadership and innovation and decisions to try to help our ranchers and our farmers, our motorists. People are running into these deer on the highways. I think there are about 171 collisions. Farmers are losing their crop overnight. Ranchers are losing their grazing lands. The concern with the private landowners is liability. So the county needs to step in, meet with these landowners and find out exactly what needs to be drawn up, what sort of issues we can address so that their concerns are put to rest.
Well, we are just about at the top of the hour. And before we say goodbye, I want to allow both of you to speak to the voters and the residents of Maui. One final message that you will have for them as we close out here. Mayor, we'll start with you and give you the opportunity for your final thoughts this morning.
Mahalo to you and Yanji for this time. And I'm grateful for this opportunity. We have worked hard over the last 14 years, but 4 years as your mayor, as to go through some of the worst economic times, some of the worst challenges this county has ever faced, and have come out on the bright side of it. And now we are at a right-sized economy. We are right-sized our tourism. Make sure that we, the people of Maui County, are the benefactors of all our industries, and that is clean and green. And this is very important. We need to preserve the lifestyle we have, local values, and what we've grown up with. So it's important that we close this out with experienced leadership that has the ball rolling, has moved in all of these areas that have been mentioned. I'm not afraid to take them on. I've been proactive in all of these areas. Unfortunately, sometimes things take time, and all of us know government takes time. So what we're trying to do is up the ante, move things quicker, so long as it's done the right way and legally. Mahalo and aloha to all of you.
And Judge Bissen will give you the final word here this morning.
I also extend my mahalo to all of you for being such gracious hosts to us, and also to the folks who are listening. Our platform is about kama'aina prosperity. What can we do to help our residents here? And in what ways can we offer them housing and jobs and livable wages? And I think what they want is bold and balanced leadership. They want folks that can help, like you said, move this along. No question that the mayor has tried his best. I believe that is correct. He has tried his best, and it has not worked. Our budget has increased by $400 million, home prices by $400,000 since he's taken office. And so really the simple question is to ask yourself, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? I mean, that's really the question that gets asked. every 4 years there's a report card gets sent out. And I think the voters decide that by their ballot, what has happened. I don't think people want someone who, I think people would like a mayor who serves for 4 years, not for 4 months, and not when it gets around close to election season and putting things in to look as if things have been going well. Of course, we all faced the pandemic. The pandemic was harder on the residents than the leaders. And I'm not sure why we're feeling sorry for ourselves. We were all being paid during this pandemic. I was the head of the judiciary. So I think it's really the citizens we should be focusing on. How are they doing? How are they losing their jobs or their homes or having to move? And again, that's the reason I entered into this race, because I believe I have the experienced leadership of years and years in different offices. I've made huge decisions. Thousands of you have come before me as jurors and as parties. And I think you understand the respect I've shown you and the fairness and the judgment that I've used in my decisions. And I will bring that same thing to the mayor's office. Mahalo.
All right, we want to thank both of you for joining us here this morning and being a part of this conversation. As the election approaches, we know that you both have very busy schedules, but we appreciate you taking time this morning to be with us and sharing your thoughts. So best of luck and mahalo again for joining us.
Mahalo and aloha.
Well, great to hear from both of them. And you did see some sharp elbows between them, each trying to distinguish themselves as the leader of choice in this race, both highlighting their experience. Of course, they are people who are well known to the county. Judge Bissen, as he mentioned, was the head of the judiciary and has served in the county for quite some time. And of course, the mayor is the incumbent. And so we're all very familiar with him. The question is, do people want to continue with what they've seen from Mayor Victorino, or do they want a change? And do they support some of the initiatives that Judge Bissen is putting forward? We will know in just a few short weeks.
Yeah, many analysts who are watching this race expect this to be a close race between the two of them. Of course, two notable figures in the community, but through many of the issues, you heard some of the same overlapping thoughts and ideas and concepts, but there were a few differences in just the implementation, and we heard a little more criticism by, of course, Judge Bissen on the Victorino administration and the way that they've handled some of these issues. So we should see a very interesting election night, especially when it comes to this race, and it's one that we will continue to be watching as we move on here to the final stages of this campaign season. We switch gears on Friday and focus in on housing.
Yeah, very interesting. As we've noted, and we've had him on in the past, State Senator Stanley Chang recently took a delegation to Vienna. They're looking at their housing model. He famously went to Singapore with a lot of people from Hawaii and looked at how they've implemented housing for their residents there. Of course, they're very, they don't have a lot of land there, so they build quite high. What have they learned from Vienna? We're going to learn from Senator Stanley Chang along with Jarrett Ka'ohokalole about, he was part of that delegation as well. Vienna has done it a little differently, but they have implemented a lot of government housing for their residents with long-term leases. So is that something that could be implemented here in Hawaii? We're going to get some lessons from their venture out to Vienna. So do join us for that on Friday right here at 10:30.
We'll see you then. Aloha.
This episode of Spotlight Hawaii is brought to you by Longstrugs.